Okay, so welcome to our YinDulgence for January, but I find because they sit so close to the end of the month, I like to focus on what we're going to be doing for the following month, although this month's practice is a bit of a nod to what happened in December, as well as what we're going to be focusing on in February. So in February, we're going to be putting our attention towards fascia again, fascia February, like we did last February. However, what unfolded in December was we did the retreat, as we often do in December. We take that kind of solstice time to turn inwards and reflect back on the past year and plant some seeds for the coming year. And this year we did it with a lot of yin yoga. And what arose for many people were a lot of detoxification symptoms, headaches, kind of nauseous feelings, a little bit of stomach flu feelings. Also, a lot of people got sick. They got colds and flus. And so the question arose, is yin yoga more detoxifying than other styles of yoga? And at the time, I didn't know for sure. So it was like a bit of a question mark. And as I started to explore that question and do some research on it, the answer clearly became yes. Yin yoga is more detoxifying than other practices because we are going into the deeper layers of the connective tissues and the fascia. So what happens is our connective tissue, when it gets stressed, as we age, when we get injured, when certain things happen in our bodies, connective tissue that normally runs in straight lines starts to get tangled. And in those tangled places, particles, toxins, and we'll go into this in the class, get trapped in the tangled places. And they can stay lodged in the tangled connective tissues for years, for the rest of your life, unless something were to dislodge them, like a yin yoga practice, where we're coming deep into the layers of the connective tissue and we're stressing them, we're tugging on them, we're pressurizing them. And so when we had that experience in December, when we were doing a lot of yin yoga over a consistent, we did 5 days of yin yoga, and I think most days you were doing 2 classes. So some days you were doing probably about 3 hours of yin yoga. It makes sense that what was happening, some of those like tangled fascial places were being untangled, and particles that were stuck for maybe years were being dislodged. And then if enough of that was happening, then you were experiencing headaches. And if it was too much for your lymphatic system to deal with, or for your blood to deal with, to remove easily, then it would be like an overwhelm for the immune system, and you would get sick, right? So you would experience illness, like a cold or flu, or you might get a headache. If it was too much to flush out of your system, you'd get those symptoms of illness. So that is what happens. That is what happens. And it's good, right? It's good that we are getting rid of these particles that are being released either from our cells or things that come in from our external environment, pollutants from the environment that we're living in. It's good that we have this way of dislodging them from our body. But sometimes it can be in these circumstances, like when we're doing a lot of yin yoga, it can be too much at a time, especially in a retreat experience. So we're just going to explore those concepts a little bit more deeply today, so that you understand them in an embodied way. And then also we're going to just go into the yin concepts, just explore those more deeply as well, concepts of softening and releasing and letting go. And that's the intention for today. So you can go ahead and rest back, lie down on your backs. We'll begin with centering. Good idea to place a bolster underneath your knees for the free flow of energy in your body. So even as you rest back on the earth, we become so familiar with our practices that we forget all the ways that our practice supports us in releasing. And as you rest on the ground here, feel the support of the earth underneath you, and just notice the way that the earth begins to support you in releasing tension from your body. And as we come inwards and come towards our yin practice now, we drop inwards. We drop into our internal body. And this process of releasing begins. We start to drop what we're carrying physically as we begin to release tension with gravity, releasing tension into the earth. We can also begin to release mentally, letting go of some of the mental baggage. We can let go of the tension of our emotional body. We can release energetic tension as well. So there's a lot of letting go that happens. We let go of our plans, our preoccupations, our projection into the future or into the past, all of our ambitions, our identities, and our frustrations. And our breath is a powerful ally in this process of release. And right now, all you need to do is be a companion with your exhalation. So follow your exhalation all the way to the end. So if you imagine your breath as a companion, just imagine you're walking alongside your breath out all the way to the end of the path. And each time you take a breath out, walk with your breath out all the way to the end. Following our breath in this way deepens it. It's extremely effective in healing anxiety, any stress-related disorders. Our heartbeat slows down and it significantly relaxes us. It also serves as a kind of aid to the lymphatic system. This kind of enhancement of breathing helps to aid the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system carries away destructive toxins from your body. And so this attention to your breath in this way also helps to enhance the pump of the lymphatic system as well. Okay, so when you feel ready, we're going to come into our first yin yoga shape. I've chosen butterfly for this, seated bound angles. So bend your knees and come to the side, come up to a seated position. If that doesn't feel appropriate for you and your body today, you could always take a wide knee child's pose. So it's your choice. So if you're going to take the butterfly, I think it's a good idea to fill the space between your knees and the ground. So there's support for your joints. And then I also like to fold forward and then also support your head too. Or you can place the bolster down and support your head in your hands as well. So when we practice yin yoga, we remember the principles of yin. We come into the pose. We choose an appropriate edge, so nothing sharp or shooting, nothing electric or burning, no pins or needles. You want to feel sensation, but not have it be sensational. We find stillness. We stay for a while, and time and gravity does everything for us. So when you come into the pose, see if you can soften. Find patience and stillness. And offer yourself non-abandoning attention. And instead of going deeper, can you allow the practice itself to be nourishing, reviving, and nurturing? This is a gentle, quiet, gradual practice. Soft, steady, and sustained. Feel the support of the earth underneath you. Breathe. And focus on releasing, including releasing effort, and instead of telling your body what to do, listen to your body. And then you're going to slowly release this pose from your body and make your way onto your back so that you can feel the rebound. So sensing into the internal landscape of your body, feeling energy move through your body. And then you can bend your knees and roll to your side. And come back up. And for the next pose, we're going to be doing toe stand. So if you have hammer toes or toe issues, this pose could be pretty intense. And so I'll show you a modification. Instead of doing the toe squat, you could do, you could take your toes and place them against the wall or a couch or the bottom of a chair and stretch out the necks of your toes that way. That would work just as well. And it would be way less weight bearing. Otherwise, you can tuck your toes under from a kneeling position. Also, that would be a better position if you have knee issues. You can tuck your toes under from a kneeling position, Make sure you tuck your baby toes under as well, and then we'll sit like this. Lean forward more for less weight bearing through the toes, and sit back on the heels more for more weight bearing through the toes. So choose an appropriate edge for yourself today. We'll only be here for a minute. Okay, so release the toe squat from your body. Sit back on your heels and feel the rebound. And then we're going to lie down on your stomachs. Okay, so on your stomach, just release your low back by wiggling your hips from side to side. You can tuck your toes under, lift your right knee, reach back through your right heel, tuck your left toes under, reach back through your left heel by lifting your left knee to create some space in your low back. And then you can walk your elbows back underneath your shoulders for Sphinx pose. If you have any neck issues, you can always place a block underneath your head here. If you have low back issues, you can draw up through your inner thighs and up through your navel. So when the collagen fibers within the connective tissues are healthy, they line up in straight lines along the direction of predominant stress. And then as our bodies age and dehydrate, or if our bodies are injured or damaged in any way, the straight fibers become tangled and bent. And this draws the muscles and bones closer together and decreases the range of motion. Okay, so you're going to lower down and feel the reverberation of this pose in your body. And as you lie on your belly here, I wanted to attend to one of the comments that I've received recently, which is that sometimes people don't feel anything in the rebound space between the poses, which is totally okay. You know, we tend to be quite addicted to seeking out strong sensations in our culture and also searching for stimulation in our culture. And so it's when we are tuning into the subtle body, to the interior landscape, this is the sensations are much more subtle than what we are normally experiencing in our day-to-day life. So the more we tune in to the interior landscape of our physical body, the more we'll feel this kind of buzzing and pulsing, the vibrations, the shifting sensations of our interior body. Because there are many waves and currents and tides of the interior landscape, and there are many ways to experience it. So it might be the felt tactile sensation, you might experience it visually, you might hear the way the energy moves through the body, you might see the way the energy moves through the body, you might get a sense of taste. There are lots of different ways the internal sense can turn on for you in the rebound. Okay, so let's come up onto all fours. And from here, we're going to go into pigeon. So I want to give an option for pigeon if it's too much pressure on the front knee. You can always take eye of the needle on your back if it's too much pressure on your front knee. So this would look like this keyhole on your back. Otherwise, you're going to come onto all fours and slide your right knee forward and your left leg back and long. Let your buttocks come all the way to the ground. If it doesn't, fill the space with a folded blanket or a block or a cushion. You can fold forward onto the ground or onto a bolster is nice as well. Okay, so go ahead and let this posture out of your body nice and slowly and make your way onto your back for the rebound. And then bend your knees again and roll to your sides. And we're going to come back up onto all fours, or if pigeon pose is too intense for your knees, too much pressure on the front knees, then you're going to take that keyhole stretch on your back again. And otherwise, we're going to do pigeon pose on the other side. So this time we're doing it on the left side. Your left knee will come forward to your left wrist and you'll reach your right leg back and long. Can be quite nice to protect the front left knee to keep your left foot in a flexed position. That helps to protect that front left knee as well. So we've been talking about the connective tissues and how toxins get tangled in the connective tissues. So when the tangled within the tangled areas of the connective tissues, particles can become trapped. When the fibers are long and straight, there's less likelihood of particles being trapped inside the fiber. And what is trapped can be toxic to the body. Waste products come from the metabolism of nearby cells, particles of pollution from outside, such as smoke or pesticides. And once these particles are trapped, they can remain in the body for a long time. They can even stay in the body forever. Okay, so we're going to release pigeon pose on the left side from your body and rest back again on your backs to feel the rebound. And then you can bend your knees again and roll to your side and make your way back up to seated. This time, you're probably going to need either a meditation cushion or a folded blanket. We're going to be doing wide-legged seated forward fold. It's called Dragonfly in Yin Yoga. So you'll probably need a bolster as well. So if you elevate your pelvis a little bit, it's easier to roll your pelvis over your leg bones. So you give yourself that little ledge, take your legs wide, and then just roll forward. Remembering that it's not an aesthetic practice, you just want to feel sensation on the inside of your legs and the backs of your legs in this pose. And then you can support yourself here. I like to use the bolster upright this way and then rest my head on the bolster, especially if you can finagle it so that it doesn't slip. So Barbara, it's almost like you tip the bowl. It's like you make a triangle between your forehead and your bolster, the ground. You make a triangle shape like this, and then you can turn yes, and then rest your forehead on it. That's it. Yeah, it's nice, right? Yeah. Then you don't have to hold it anymore. Perfect. Yeah, it's not nice. You can see. So when we consciously relax the muscular tissues of the body, this allows us to access the yin aspect of our anatomy, the connective tissues and the fascia. So here we want to soften. Okay, very slowly you're going to release dragonfly from your body. Slowly bring your legs in. And then you can lie on your back to feel the rebound. And then our next pose is going to be lunge pose, or it's called dragon in yin. And so lunge pose can be a lot of weight bearing through your knees, and depending on your anatomy, that might be a bit much for you. So you can always do half happy baby pose on your back, and it's particularly effective if you place a bolster underneath your pelvis, because then you get that opening through the front of your non-gesture leg hip. Okay, so that's your alternative to lunge pose, or dragon as it's called in yin. So you're going to bend your knees and roll to your side if you're going to join us for lunge pose. And we'll be taking lunge pose for less time. And we'll start by walking the left leg through, because then we'll access the ascending colon first, and then we'll do the other side so that we do the descending colon second. So walk your left leg through. I like to use blocks at the top of my mat for this pose too. So coming back to the connective tissue and the toxins that get stuck in the tangled connective tissue, massage and yoga, which loosen the connective tissue of the body, can also loosen up the bonds that trap the particles. And once freed, these particles can be swept into the blood system or the lymphatic system and carried away and eliminated from your body. Yin yoga stresses and compresses the collagen network of the body, which lengthens the fibers and frees toxic particles. Okay, slowly release this side from your body. And I like to come into kneeling between sides on this pose. And then we'll take the lunge pose on the other side. So step the right leg through. And lean forward until you feel sensation at the front of the left hip. And then let this pose out of your body. And you can lie back on your back and feel the rebound. And then bend your knees and roll to your side. And we're going to come up and we're going to do the dragonfly pose for a second time. So that's the wide-legged seated forward fold. So get your prop to elevate your pelvis so that it's easier to roll your pelvis over your leg bones and sit with your legs wide again. If you have low back issues, it's a good idea to bend your knees and place cushions underneath your knees here. And then you're going to fold forward here. So for our final yin pose, let's continue to embody the qualities of yin. These are useful skills in our world, which is very young. So for example, becoming patient in an impatient world is a useful skill. Feeling stability when it seems like there is not much stability around you, also another important skill. Softening when it's very easy to tense, another useful skill. opening and surrendering when it's much easier to shut down. Again, useful skills that we can draw from our yin practice. So when we practice yin yoga, we can apply intelligence and awareness to enhance our experience. We don't have to come deeper into a pose. We can just be more intelligent in the way that we practice. Because this isn't an aesthetic practice. Instead, we ask ourselves, can we soften? Can we release ambition and striving? Can we release any straining to impress or any seeking to improve? We can know that we are practicing when we are breathing, when we are releasing, when we are experiencing our bodies. So ask yourself here, can I soften? Can I soften again? Can I soften again? Is my body soft? Is my mind soft? And is my heart soft? And then slowly make your way onto your back for your final resting position in Shavasana. And I would recommend that you place the bolster underneath your knees. So in your final pose of integration here, allowing yourself to receive the practice, but also continue to let softening happen here. I have a poem for you by Denise Levertov called Primary Wonder. Days pass when I forget the mystery, problems insoluble, and problems offering their own ignored solutions jostle for my attention. They crowd its antechamber along with a host of diversions, my courtiers wearing their colored clothes, caps, and bells. And then once more, the quiet mystery is present to me. The throng's clamor recedes. The mystery that there is anything, anything at all, let alone cosmos, joy, memory, everything rather than void. And that, O Lord, Creator, Hallowed One, you still, hour by hour, sustain it. Okay, so gradually allow your breath to deepen. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Bend your knees. And you can roll to your side. Slowly make your way up to seated, and you can either sit on a meditation cushion or a chair. We're just going to do one final moment of integration here. So when you come to seated, feel the support of the earth underneath you. Allow your spine to lengthen. Open up through the back of your head. Feel the opening through the back of your neck. Let your jaws be soft, your throat be open, your elbows under your shoulders. And just reflect back on your yin yoga practice today. Notice what stands out to you. What feels most precious about your practice today? And then notice how that connects with the rest of your life, the way you live your day-to-day life. And in a moment, each one of you will have an opportunity to speak about what stood out about your experience, what feels most precious about your yin practice, and how that connects with your lived experience. Before we do that, just know that each one of you has access to your own internal wisdom. And so we speak from our own experience using the words I, not you. We know that we can trust each other to have the dignity of our own experiences, even when they seem painful. So there's no need to rescue each other. There's no need to give advice or fix or change anybody. And that's how we practice ahimsa and loving kindness here in our virtual circles. So I'm going to open up the lines so that you can have a chance to speak about your experience. And it's also a good opportunity to ask any questions you might have about the practice or yin yoga in general too. I'm just getting some noise from your line, Nikki, so I'm going to mute you. And when you want to speak, you can just press unmute, okay?
Okay.
Oh, I think, yeah, that worked.
I liked what you said at the end about not giving advice, not trying to change other people, which we have a tendency to do, especially if they're experiencing trouble. I like that idea of just taking care of ourselves, doing the best we can in our own way, and let the world be what it is and accept it for what it is. My practice tonight, I felt really good because I have been sick, and I feel restored in a deep way. The holding, what I appreciate from you, Melissa, is your information. the way you quietly explain what's going on. I've taken other yin yoga classes with other teachers just to see what it was before you really swept in with your style and your way. And it's just nothing like what you do. I understand when you talk and you talk about the fibers and the tangle and this and that. I would never have ever thought, would have never known that. And I appreciate your instruction very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have to say I took yin yoga for 3 years and I really didn't understand how it worked either.
Wow. You don't feel so bad.
Yeah. And I remember when I went into yin yoga there was something that kept me coming back because, like you guys, that you feel good after it. It feels really good. But I just could not understand the whole connective tissue thing and why it worked. I couldn't wrap my head around that. So I feel like it's very important to repeat that part every single class.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like that part is just, the way we're used to quote, exercising our body is the superficial layers of the muscles, right? And what we're doing in yin is so different. It goes against the way we think about moving our bodies. And
that's true.
Yeah. So I think it takes a lot of repetition, and we can't assume that people know and understand.
Right.
All right. Yep.
Thanks for the chicken sandwich.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Don't forget, you got a couple things here.
What?
Melissa, during February, are all the classes on like Friday or Friday videos, are those all going to be dealing with the fascia?
Like on my main channel?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not necessarily. Well, in that they're yin, yes, but no, it's kind of on a different program there. But in the membership community, if you follow the daily yoga connection,
mm-hmm.
they're going to be very fascia focused.
Okay.
So they're going to be focusing on yin classes, but also the soft foam roller and the slow-mo ball.
Oh, good.
And the little squash ball. And also in February, I will have a chance to film some new content for you guys too.
Okay, thank
so
you.
Probably some yin or something maybe with the slow-mo or the melt roller or the squash ball. I haven't really decided yet. We'll sort of see how things unfold this month.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hi, Sandrine. I'm checking in from Australia. I haven't been doing that much yin yoga. I enjoyed the class today. In a bit of a quiet space just now, so I just wanted to share when Melissa asked what towards the end of the practice when we were sitting, what sort of, came up for us or stood out. I can't really remember the wording, but what sort of popped into my head was that when I take the time to be true to myself and be authentic to my own needs, how much space is opening up in my life around about me for other things. So that's just what I wanted to share today. Thanks.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Hi, Sean.
Hi.
Do you all
I'm
know
so
Sean?
sorry that I missed the first 30 minutes because of technical issues with this tablet. So I really regret that I couldn't see the first half. I got in just when you started doing pigeon. My life has been very frantic lately, so I found that the stillness in the poses was like me powering down for the weekend. It's been a while since I've done any long yin yoga. I've been going to a free class at the library, and she's a little bit fast. I enjoy having the practice available though. But like I said, things have been so frantic running around that just having the stillness for that 40 minutes was great. So thank you.
Like the way you describe that, like that powering down at the weekend. You guys, when the energy shifts from the go to the when things are slowing down, that feeling's palpable, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess it's like I've been just so busy with everything that it's been a while since I've been able to catch up with everybody at Namaste, and I do feel like my lower body hasn't gotten as much attention, even though I am practicing, but it's only like, I'm only doing once a week for an hour. So I'm not where I was at in California, where I was doing an hour a day, and I was so healthy. I felt so great, and I definitely miss that. So this is me trying to pick up that lifestyle again and try to reinforce my yoga.
It's good to see you. I'm glad your tablet cooperated with you after 30 minutes.
I also wanted to compliment Barbara. I hope you get better, by the way. I'm sorry that you're not well.
Thank
but
you.
I noticed your shirt it says Martin Guitar on it. Yeah. I am building guitars on the side. In fact, I started a new one. So it's a matter of me putting in the work in, but Martin actually built the first steel string guitars, the first steel string acoustic guitars. So I definitely have played on them. They're wonderful guitars.
That's nice. A good thing to do to relax too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think for me, I know this is off topic, but it can be, helpful too, because with the guitar, it works a lot like a piano. You have a sound hole and strings like a piano does, and I tend to try to listen for what I want to hear. So if I pluck a string and listen for that can do it too. That can be the meditative part from playing.
That's nice.
yoga. Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. I wanted to ask, are you only doing these once a month, Melissa, or is there other, meetups going on?
Yeah, good question. So the Yin live classes are on the last Sunday of every month, but on every Monday at the same time, we have live classes. And right now on Mondays, we're practicing 3-part breath. That's what we're studying right now, is 3-part breath as a way to prepare our bodies for Yoga Nidra, which is sleep yoga, which we will be practicing towards the end of February.
Okay.
So this has we started last week with a 3-part breath, and I know, I think Emery, you were there, weren't you, Emery? Yeah, and Michelle and Maria. So I think the three of you, I know I've been practicing with that breath over the week, and it's been interesting. I'd be curious to hear what your experience is. I'm also curious to hear about your experience with this practice, but if any of you have anything you want to share about that practice as well, the experience of being with that breath over the course of the week, that'd be interesting.
One quick question: the Monday meditations, what time are they? So
same as this one. So 9:30 a.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Pacific.
okay.
Is that during the meditation hour?
That's the meditation one, yeah.
That's the meditation
Yeah.
one. Okay.
So for the next month, we're doing the 3-part breath to prepare for the sleep yoga. And then we're going to transition into some sleep yoga in that one.
Okay. 9:30?
9:30 Pacific and 4 p.m. Pacific. So same time as this.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm Maria. I'm from Harrison, New Jersey. I found today's practice very relaxing and very calming. I kind of needed that after the week I had, so it was great to just center myself. I felt very calm toward the end of the class. About the 3-part breath, for me, I've been practicing it in the morning, and what I found is, like, when I do the Yoga Nidra at night, I can actually feel my breath coming into each part of my body in like a very uniform way, and then it feels very relaxing. Even I'm not doing it consciously, but I just feel it coming into my body in a different way.
I think for those of you I think the way that, like, I can relate to what you're saying, because my intention behind doing the 3-part breath was to create a solid container for the Yoga Nidra, right? If you think about the Yoga Nidra, actually, we're circulating our consciousness through the body and also through the central channel. So what I relate to and what you're describing in your experience is that there's this really solid container being created.
Just feels very open.
Mm-hmm.
In a different way. Like, I mean, I breathe through meditation. I've done the Yoga Nidra before we did the 3-part breath, where I was practicing it, but it just feels different. It feels very different. And I think I went into the Yoga Nidra very deeply. Just feeling that. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, I think the 3-part breath, it definitely tells me where I am energetically. I get that feedback, and it's very different in the different parts of the body too. And I think what's also interesting for me was that it's a bit tricky to explain, but the feedback coming from practicing the breath, it's actually reflecting what's happening in real life too for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been interesting to sort of feel into and explore a little bit. So yeah. Today's practice was, oh, sorry, Melissa.
Do you know what just came up for me with that too when you said that, is that it's quite not what I can really relate to what you're saying about it reflecting what's coming up in life, but for me, in a very non-verbal way.
It's all feeling, it's all visceral.
Visceral, feeling, energetic, emotional. And so for those, if I'm guessing, if you find your practice to be quite discursive and thought-oriented, it for me, I guess it's kind of dropping that into a more body sense, energetic sense, emotional. It's putting me in touch with that more. Does that sound accurate for you?
Yeah, that does sound like that is what's happening. Yeah. Today's practice, I feel very chilled, and it's quite a different practice from what I've been doing for the past few days, which I've been sort of getting back into vinyasa. So it's nice to come into a very quiet space, and also having that permission just to be quiet. One thing I've picked up from reading our book club book is about rest, and how maybe my idea of rest isn't actually rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Say more about that.
So resting, I might say, well, I'm resting, but I might have something on the go in the kitchen, or I might be thinking about something else, or just pottering around, and I think that's resting, where it's still actually being active. So it's I guess it's possibly, it just thinking about it now, it probably ties into inner critic stuff, the pusher, having to achieve. So,
yeah, the pusher can very subtly get into into that rest territory too.
Like, oh, resting. Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, your fridge. That's rest time.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Hey there. Yeah. So I think what's coming through today is how everything is connected. So that's going to be interesting to explore a bit this month, I think.
Yeah, we have some beautiful teachings on that this month, don't we, with the fascia?
Mm-hmm. No, I don't need anything. Sorry. Are you all right? Okay. All right. Have a good night, Rye. Sorry, it's my brother. I wanted to add that when you were saying softness, let yourself be soft, I definitely felt myself kind of loosen up. But the only part of me, because I'm like I said, it's been a frantic week, is my mind is really, really tight. It's just, because I'm planning days in advance, and I'm thinking tomorrow maybe I'll do the nidra in the morning with you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that'll kind of help me soften up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I can really relate to that experience of my brain actually feeling tight from a lot of mental activity.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to go against my own advice of not giving advice here. So, Barbara, I know in theory I love that. I love my rule of not giving advice, and then I break it all the time. But you know, when we do 10 points and we lie down and we release tension from our body, like when we feel tension in our body.
Okay.
So you know, when you lie down in Shavasana and you release tension from your body, you let gravity take the tension of your body, Sean.
Right. Yeah.
There are days when I'll spend a lot of time of attending to the tension in the physical tension in my brain, not as a thinking place, but as a feeling place.
Okay.
So literally feeling into the front, the middle, the back, the top, the bottom, just feeling into the tension all around the brain. And when you're lying on your back, you can literally just feel it draining out the back of your head.
Would you say 10 tigers running through the forest would?
It's a good one too. Yeah. Yeah, really good one. Do any of you have those things? Sometimes if you have kids, you have those ones. The thing with the metal thing with the 10 prongs. And you can like put it, you've seen those though, right? You can put it down your head and that.
Must have been before my time.
No, they come around.
Like a slinky?
No, it's kind of like, it almost looks like a whisk that's been cut on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then you put it down on your head and then you pull it off. And it feels like, it's the most, it like lights up your brain.
Ooh, I want to get one.
Yeah. Everybody needs one in their house for when their brain's really, really tight and tense. Because it's, I don't know, it's very stimulating.
But is it a child's toy of some sort?
It's
Just a thing.
Novelty item, yeah.
Yeah, it's a novelty.
Look for it in a gift shop or something.
Yeah.
I went to get my hair done a couple of days ago and I was getting the head massage and the girl was getting right in there in the cranium. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I was so relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's lovely. When they do that, they just massage your head and like, yes.
Yeah. Another good thing to do, because I notice I get a lot of tension here. So I was doing the facial massage and at the end of the day I'm pretty lazy, so I decided I'd get one of those jade crystal rollers. And that's actually really nice. It's very cooling and it's like doing a roller,
Oh yeah.
not soft by any means, but you're going gently and it's very nice just to loosen up, and also I take it down the
Good. Yeah.
little smaller one for behind the ear, and
Ooh, that
really
sounds
nice.
Oh, it does
That
sound
sounds
really
really
good.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and of essential oils. It's a really nice way to just release some tension.
Good recommendation.
Mhm.
Two thumbs up.
Did you order it online?
I did, yeah. So you can get them anywhere, and the one I've got is jade, but you can get all different. I don't think it matters what it's made out of. It's just a nice cooling. Yeah, it's a really, really good thing. I'm glad I bought it for myself. A little treat.
Good tip.
Mm.
Yeah, because you could use it all the way up the back of your neck too, like up the occipital ridge and stuff too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Mm.
My neck is always so tight.
Yeah. You'll all be ordering them now.
Yeah,
Yes.
you need to get an affiliate link and make some money off that now, Michelle.
I just wanted to share something from my experience with the mental body and all the mental stuff. Traditionally live a lot in my head, and with the somatic experience, even though I was sort of dropping into my body, I still had a lot of that mental and discursive thought. So I found that through the somatic meditation, as well as starting to connect to the physical body, I started to think about all our other bodies and the koshas and in yoga. And I started connecting with our energy body and our emotional body. And I made the bridge to connect with my mental body. So sometimes in my somatic meditation, I'll kind of just create that bridge and that intent and sort of work with my mental body, even though I'm really, not really that sure what's happening. And I've probably been doing that a couple of months now, and I find that by forming that bridge and connecting with my mental body, that the chatter and the discursive thought is actually lessening a little, and I'm finding I'm not quite in my head so much. And even when I first started making the connection, I had no concept, and it's a very sort of vague area, but I just intend to connect with it without getting attached to it, and just, so as Michelle says, then, see what happens. So I found that that's been helping with me.
So I really like what you're saying there. I really love it. And Maria, don't you find it's kind of like what Karen Brody intends to do with the second phase of her daring to rest, which is to clear the mental body?
Mental body, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's talking about the different bodies, the emotional, yeah. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, because I think like this really, the discursiveness and all the mental stimulation we have, and then all the, the way we try to sort everything out in our head, it does create a lot of tension in the mental body. And I love the theory of where Karen Brody goes with that. I'm not so sure with how she does with the execution of it, but I think that
there's a couple. I have a couple of problems with a couple of things she says, but I mean,
I think the intent there is really cool, and I think that there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah. I started reading that, and that's what I thought of when Anne-Marie was just saying that.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, this is getting juicy. I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's oh my God, your dog's adorable, Barbara.
He is adorable.
He is. He really wants to be in the picture.
Well, that's completely fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I think that I'm going to make a note of that. But that when I start writing Yoga Nidra scripts, I think that would be one of the scripts that I would want to attend to, is that like a clearing of the mental body.
That's what I found in my experiences, like with the physical body, because like I kind of have a vague idea of where the arm is, where the heart is, and where things are. When I'm sort of moving my awareness around, I'm sort of taking it to those places, and the mind's involved a little because the intellect thinking about where the parts are. But because my mental body is something that I have no preconceptions about, I'm just sort of taking the awareness there and letting it do what it has to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get caught up as much in constructs because the constructs to get caught up in.
Yeah, it's like a whole different level of trust and like letting the subconscious take over, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really cool, right?
It's been good, and like seeing the then it trickles back through into, and I see how now I get out of my head a bit more than I did before. I mean, obviously I still spend a lot of time in my head, but I was probably someone who spent 23.7 hours in my head, out. So
yeah, when you think of like insomnia, so much of it that is how we take the troubles of the day into our night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so hence a practice like Yoga Nidra or sleep yoga is so useful, because we're clearing the bodies so that we can sleep more soundly.
Mm-hmm. And then last week I actually practiced one of Ivy's devotionals. I just sort of went there, and then it was the one about the koshas and the 5 bodies, and that was really nice. That tied in really well as well, because she put a lot of words to a lot of things. So I really enjoyed that devotional last week. I know it's an old one. I'm not sure when it's from. I tend to just go to the page and then, just, look down till something resonates and then click on it. And it was, it was very timely last week. Oh, it's a cute little dog.
She's a rescue dog.
Oh, beautiful.
She's 10 years old and I've had her about a month.
Oh, really?
We bonded.
Much love she has for you.
Oh, look at her.
I'll never get another dog that isn't a rescue dog. Well, girls, I'm going to say goodnight. I have to go in there and feed him. I've got a little boy waiting for me, too.
Okay. Good night, Barbara.
Good night.
Barbara.
Bye.
So cute.
My
Nikki,
dogs do
did,
that actually. If you're outside and miss their time for dinner, they come and they
Nikki, did you want to check in?
Yeah, I think mine goes back to the mind stuff too. When we were in Sphinx, I started letting go in ways that I've never let go on that pose before. And then my mind came in and said, I wonder what's different. And I started overthinking and overanalyzing, and I immediately felt my body start to tense back up. So as soon as I became aware, I did become aware. I didn't linger on it. I said, okay, breathe in, let it out. And I just let go of the thoughts. And immediately I started relaxing again. And after that, just throughout the whole practice, I was yin breathing and ujjayi breathing. And the combination of the two was interesting because I've never pulled the two into a practice together in such a way as that. And I just feel yummy. This whole weekend has been about self-care for me, part out of necessity, mostly as a conscious choice. And I just feel really yummy. I love the collective energy that I feel tonight. And I feel the issues in the tissues. There's tears that are wanting to come up and I don't even care why. It's just kind of like, give me the tissues. And I don't even want to contemplate, I wonder where they're coming from. I'm just, it's just really, it's really nice just to be, especially with the full moon coming up. Usually I'm kind of edgy. And I'm thinking, how I'm always thinking about a to-do list. Right now, it's just like, I don't usually say bad words, but it's kind of like, F it. Yeah, who cares about that to-do list? It's just like, tomorrow is Monday, time to hit reset. And I'm actually looking forward to my coming week. And a lot of times, especially if I have to go to work in the attorney's office, it's just kind of like, I dread it. And it's just kind of like, okay, I'm ready for this week now. So thank you, Melissa.
I'm glad you were here.
I just wanted to say I probably passed you for a good massage. I think it's been like 3 months or so, something probably longer than that. So maybe I'll indulge a little bit myself and get a good massage.
Good idea. The one thing that really stands out to me about what you said, Nikki, and I've heard other people say it too, and I've experienced it as well, is that doing these practices really changed the perspective on the to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
Like, things that seem important prior to the practices, just the perspective really changes on that. And I forget who said it. It was on my mat today or something. I think I read it even just today or maybe yesterday. Somebody said, I'm going to do practice and then I'm going to see how I feel about my to-do list after.
That was Donna.
Yeah.
It was Anna?
Donna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Donna. Yeah. Donna Swabi. Yeah. And I was like,
Yeah,
I
she
love
said
that.
she was going to do a yoga nidra and then she was going to see about doing the rest of her stuff.
and then see how she actually felt about this list that she had. And I was like, yeah, it really, and as soon as I read that, I was like, yeah, because that changes everything, right? If you do the things first, then there's a urgency and a grippiness about it all. If you do the practice, then there's a softness and openness to it. And actually pretty much 80% of what's on that list really doesn't seem like it needs to be on there anyway.
Right.
No.
So, yeah. But I don't know about you, but I tend to get it backwards most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. Keep learning.
Yeah,
Keep
it's practice.
practicing.
Yeah, it's a practice.
Right.
Practice, not perfect.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anne-Marie sent me a message a few days ago and said, you could not finish this 30-day challenge. I was like, no, couldn't do that. But thanks for the suggestion.
I'm just saying.
But I do feel, having done it now, it's given me a really great perspective on how I don't want to be for the rest of the year. My friend Tony said to me yesterday, he says, well, yeah, you've got that out of your system now. Anyway.
Sometimes I think we have to do it just so we know, though, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's
It's
exactly
true.
it. Yeah.
Have a feeling of discomfort. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So thank you, everybody, for your presence here and for this discussion. I always find it so helpful. I learned so much from all of you. And tomorrow, 9:38 a.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Pacific, same time as these classes, we will be studying and practicing 3-part breath. And I'm actually going to be talking about it as a container, and I have a kind of interesting analogy and discussion for that, moving us towards yoga nidra and sleep yoga. So I'd love to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye.
Everyone.
Thanks for the jade roller
Yeah, Michelle.
suggestion. Yeah, it's a good one. I'm liking that one.
Yeah.
You too.
Go get one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.